Welcome to this tutorial on how to create a print-to-cut file for a complex multicolored die-cut decal. If you're wanting to bypass additional graphic design charges when working with your printing company, you're going to want to check this out. To correctly produce a die-cut decal that is more than one or two colors, the artwork file needs to be created a specific way. Starting out, inspect your artwork, outline your fonts, expand strokes, embed images, and clean up any imperfections. This is a good example to use because I need to clean up the edges of this artwork. Using the pen tool and direct selection tool, I'm going to delete some of these unnecessary anchor points. It's important to pay attention to these details so that you don't get too far ahead in the process and then have to backtrack to fix these mistakes. After that, we're ready to move on to the next step, which is creating the layer with the cut line. In the Layers panel, duplicate the layer by clicking and dragging it to the lower right corner of the panel to the box with the plus symbol in it. This copies everything and pastes it in the exact same place. Rename this new layer something that identifies it as the cut line layer. Select everything within this layer and unite the shapes through the Pathfinder panel. Then, in the Swatches panel, change the fill to none and the stroke to CMYK magenta. Create a new swatch from that color by clicking the new swatch icon. Rename the swatch cut contour and change the color type to a spot color. Leave all the other settings. Click OK. This is the cut line and it will be read by the plotter after the decal has been printed and laminated. It's not going to print, even though it's going to show up on this file. Next up is the hardest step in this process, which is creating the bleed. Duplicate the layer with the original artwork, not the cut line layer you just made. It will automatically put the copied layer on top of the artwork layer. Click and drag it under the artwork layer. Rename it bleed. For these bolded words, complex print and cut text, I'm going to use the rectangle shape tool to create the bleed. With the eyedropper tool, I'll select this light green color. Then, I'll switch to the rectangle tool and draw a rectangle around this top bar of color on the text. I'm zoomed in close so that I can clearly see what I'm doing. I'll grab the edges of the shape with the selection tool and drag them so that they line up perfectly. I'll repeat this process with the dark and light blue colored bars. From here, I'm going to use the pen tool to create this custom shape for this funky border element. I'll use the eyedropper to select the correct color and zoom in to align the shape with the graphic. For this, I'm using the direct selection tool and the pen tool to add anchor points and move them around. I'm a big proponent of using keyboard shortcuts. So to quickly toggle between the pen tool and the direct selection tool, you can hit A on your keyboard for the direct selection tool, P on your keyboard for the pen tool, and the plus or minus symbol to add or delete anchor points. To save time, I'm going to duplicate the shapes I just made and mirror them and align them to the other border. First, select the shapes to duplicate. Hold down the Alt key on the keyboard while you click and drag the selection. Release the mouse before you release your finger off of the Alt key, and there is your duplicated selection. To mirror this, select it again, right-click, go to Transform, and select Reflect. Zoom in to line it up with the artwork with the selection tools. You can see here that I needed to select some of the individual anchor points. I really like going into outline mode by hitting Ctrl-Y so that I can clearly see where the paths and the points are. The text that reads multicolor bleed is one color, so I'm just going to create a rectangle shape around those letters to create the bleed for that part of the graphic, and that's it. From here, you can just save this as a PDF and send it to the printer. If you're working with us, you can upload your artwork through our website, and we will take care of the rest.